Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture series of electromagnetic fields. We will discuss different theories, phenomena and numerical solution of different cases in this series. I hope this series will give a fruitful outcome to physics scholars or engineering students.
So up to the previous video we have seen the properties of conductor and dielectric mediums. In today's video we are going to discuss the boundary conditions between conductors and a dielectric medium. So this is very fundamental and essential topic which will give us an idea about the tangential and normal component of electric field intensity and electric flux density at the boundary of two different mediums. So let us begin. So when electric field passes from one medium to another medium, there exist some changes in its intensity and or its direction at the interference of both the medium. The study of its condition at such interference surface is called the boundary condition, and depending on the nature of medium there are two situations of the boundary conditions, and these situations are the boundary conditions between conductor in free space or a dielectric medium, and the second one is boundary condition between two different dielectric mediums. So we are going to cover both the situation in separate videos. So in today's video we are going to discuss the boundary condition between conductor and a free space. So moving further, to study the boundary conditions for electrostatics, Maxwell's equations are required with the understanding of the properties of conductor and dielectric and appropriate selection of Gaussian surface. The equations required are the closed integration of E bar dot dl bar equals to 0. That is the essential condition of any field to be conservative. So this is the condition of conservative field, and the second equation is closed surface integration of d bar dot ds bar is equals to q enclosed. Here this closed integration is line integration, so we are going to cover the closed path for this particular vector operation, and this closed integration is closed surface integration. So it is very important to understand these terms. However, if you are not aware about these two equations, I suggest you to refer my previous videos. Okay, this equation you will get in the video of Gauss's law, and this equation you will get in the video of conservative field. Okay, so these two equations are very essential, and in addition to these two equations and understanding of these two equations, we must have the proper understanding of properties of conductor and dielectric. So all the properties of conductor and dielectric must be clear in our mind, because we are going to use couple of properties of both the mediums, and we need to have a proper selection of Gaussian surface. So this is also a very crucial part of derivation of these boundary conditions. So what shape of Gaussian surface you are adopting for the derivation is very important. Okay, so without wasting much time, let us start the derivation. In addition to these, also the tangential and normal components of intensity and density are required, because ultimately at the end we are having some idea about these components of E bar and D bar. Okay, so what I want you to remember at this point is we need to utilize these two equations for the derivation part. Okay, both the equations will be operated separately. Fine, so you need not to worry about any mix-ups. Fine, it is on your choice that whether you draw a same figure to illustrate both the equations and derivation from them, or either you can have the separate figure as I will mention in my video and do the derivations. Okay, so let us start. So here I have shown a conductor. So as you can see, this dark blue portion is a cut section of a conductor. I have not shown the whole conductor, I have just shown the curved part of that conductor. So that is our medium 1, and out of it surface there is a free space. So free space or air is a as we know is a insulation or insulator. So medium 2 is our insulator. Fine. And we are going to analyze this boundary, that is dark yellow line, which is a boundary between conductor and a dielectric or a free space. So analysis of boundary condition gives us the idea about normal component and tangential component of electric field intensity and electric flux density. So ultimately, by discussing or by deriving this boundary condition, what will we have? So we can have the tangential component of field intensity and normal component of field intensity. Similarly, we can have the tangential component of flux density and normal component of flux density. So these four are the objectives to discuss the boundary condition. Okay, so for very first objective, we are going to derive the value of tangential component of intensity and density with the help of closed integration E bar dot dl bar equals to 0. Now if we want to perform closed line integration, then we must take a closed path as a calculation. So we are taking a closed rectangular path and we have named it as ABCD. The condition at which we are assuming this path is very crucial and very important to understand. Okay, so in this path we have elementary width of our rectangle as delta W, and the height of this rectangle is delta H. Now we have kept this rectangle such as the half height remains in dielectric medium and another half height, that is delta H by 2, remains inside the conductor. Now assume that we have the direction of field intensity like this. So we need to keep, now this is fine that delta W is the width and delta H is the elementary height of rectangle, but then also we have number of conditions by which we can put this rectangle, but we must put it like its width is parallel to the tangential component of field. So this is the tangential component of field, so its width, that is the side AB and side DC, must be parallel to tangential component, and another two sides must be parallel to the normal component. So this is the normal component of field, this is the tangential component of field. So we must put the rectangle such as its widths are parallel with tangential component and heights are parallel with normal component. So let me write down. So we will have a rectangle as a path of calculation. Delta W will be small width of that rectangular path. Delta H will be the small height. Then delta H by 2 height will be in the medium 2. Remaining delta H by 2 height will be in the medium 1. The width of path must be parallel to tangential component of field, and the height of path is parallel to the normal component of electric field intensity. So after having this much of understanding that how we are going to put our closed path, now we will perform this closed line integration, and after solving this equation we will have the clear cut value of tangential component. So what we'll do, so I have shown this figure in a very small dimension just for our reference. So now we are going to perform closed line integration of E bar dot dl bar equals to 0. Now dividing this closed line integration into 4 parts along with its length, so we can say integration from A to B. See here, direction is also very important. So we are going in the clockwise direction. Okay. So we will move from A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A. So A to B. Now along the length A to B, what component of intensity will be acting? So it will be E10, or for this step we keep it as E bar itself. So let us keep it as E bar only dot dl bar plus, now we will move from B to C, E bar dot dl bar, then from C to D, E bar dot dl bar plus integration from D to A, E bar dot dl bar. So what we have done, we have done nothing but divide this closed integration into 4 parts along with its length. Okay, now for the conductor, from the properties of conductor we know that the inside any conductor the field intensity is always 0, and as the field intensity inside any conductor is 0, we have a relation d bar is equals to epsilon 0 E bar, and hence d bar inside any conductor is also 0, and if flux density is 0, then we can say the volume charge density inside a conductor is also 0. So all the charges are in the form of surface charge density at the surface of the conductor. Inside this conductor no charge will be there, so we can say the volume charge density of the conductor will be 0. Fine. So these are the important things that we must understand from the properties of conductor, and these thing we will use for the further calculation. So for the line integration from C to D, that is this third term, as E bar for this region is 0, the whole integration will become 0. So we will only have integration from A to B E bar dot dl bar plus integration from B to C. Now if we write 2 points over here, that is point 1 and point 2, then this integration can be written as integration from B to point 2 E bar dot dl bar plus integration from point 2 to C E bar dot dl bar. So what we have done, we have divided this second term into 2 terms. So we have divided this term into 2 terms. This third term become 0 because field intensity inside the conductor is 0. Okay, and again this term also from D to A we can divide into 2 terms. So first we will travel from D to point 1 E bar dot dl bar plus integration from point 1 to point A E bar dot dl bar. Now why we have done this, why we have divided these two terms into two different terms, because again we can use the same property of conductor, that inside the conductor intensity is 0. So this term from 2 to C and this term integration from D to 1 became 0. Why? Because inside the conductor E bar is 0, so whole integration will come out to be 0. So finally we only have to calculate three terms: integration from A to B, E bar dot dl bar, plus integration from B to 2, E bar dot dl bar, plus integration from 1 to A, E bar dot dl bar equals to 0. Okay, so now for A to B we can write E bar integration A to B dl bar, which is nothing but E bar dot delta W. And now as we have kept this rectangle so that its width are parallel with the tangential component, we can write E tan delta W. So this is the simplification of first term of integration, that is integration from A to B. E bar dot dl bar is nothing but E tan, that is tangential component of intensity, multiplied by the elementary width of the rectangle. Similarly, if we want to calculate from B to A, now see, the direction of normal component is upward and here the direction of our traveling is downward. Fine. So the dot product will turn out to be negative. So we can write, now what is the component that acts along this length of rectangle? It is the normal component. Now integration from B to 2 dl bar is nothing but delta h by 2. So we can write En delta h by 2, but here as the direction of normal component of intensity and direction of our traveling are opposite, we must multiply it with negative sign. So we will have negative En into delta h by 2. Similarly, for the third term, that is integration from 1 to A E bar dot dl bar, again the acting component will be En, and the direction of En and direction of our traveling are same. That is why we can write En into delta h by 2. So this is the value of our third term in the equation. So putting all these values into equation, we will have E tan into delta W plus En into minus delta h by 2 plus En into delta h by 2 equals to 0. So here as we can see that one term is negative and one term is positive, so these two terms will cancel out each other, and finally we will have E tan delta W equals to 0. Now to satisfy this relation, as we know that delta W is a small width of a rectangular path, but delta W is not equals to 0, and if it is so, then to satisfy this relation, E tan must be equals to 0. So the first idea we get at the boundary, that the tangential component of field intensity at the boundary of conductor will be 0, and as E tan equals to 0, we can write D tan equals to epsilon 0 E tan, and putting E tan equals to 0, we have D tan or tangential component of density is equals to 0. So first two result we have derived from the condition of conservative fields, and these two results are the tangential component, it is very important to understand each equation in a linguistic form. So tangential component of intensity, that is E bar, and flux density, that is D bar, are 0 at the boundary, or we can say at the surface of the conductor. Fine. So this is very important finding that we have just derived. Now from 4 unknowns we have determined 2, that is tangential components. Now we need to determine the normal components of intensity and density. So for that, again we are considering the same situation in which we have seen we have shown the conductor in a free space, but now our objective is to find dn and en, that is normal component of density and normal component of intensity. And to determine this, we are going to use Gauss's law, that is closed surface integration of d bar dot ds bar equals to q enclosed. Okay, so in order to have apply the Gauss's law on this condition, we are taking a closed cylindrical surface. See, we are taking the cylindrical surface only due to the simplification in the integration. We can also take the parallelopipe. What I mean to say is, someone might take such parallelopipe to derive the same thing, fine, and he will come at the same result at which we will going to reach, fine. But in this Gaussian surface, if we take a parallelopipe as Gaussian surface, then we must perform 6 integrations, because these parallelopipe are consisting 6 surfaces, fine. So at that time our calculation efforts and time will be very much higher, fine. And what benefit we will get by using this cylindrical Gaussian surface? So we will only perform 3 integration, one for top surface, one for bottom surface, and one for this lateral surface, fine. So this will reduce our calculation effort and calculation time. So this is how a smart student can select the Gaussian surface. Okay, so again the same conditions are being followed, that the cross-sectional area of our Gaussian surface is delta S and the elementary height of this cylinder is delta H. Again we have kept this cylinder such that half the height of cylinder remains in the free space and another half height remains in the conductor. Okay, and also now if we calculate the closed surface integration of d bar dot ds bar, then we can write top surface integration of d bar dot ds bar plus bottom surface integration of d bar dot ds bar plus lateral surface integration of d bar dot ds bar. So here we are calculating only left hand side of the equation or left hand side of the Gauss's law. Okay, we will consider the right hand side after some time. Okay, so now as we know that inside the conductor E bar equals to 0, D bar equals to 0 and rho V equals to 0, or say Q is also equals to 0 inside the conductor, not on the surface of the conductor. Okay, so for the bottom surface, as you can see, this integration or this second term of integration becomes 0. Why? Because d bar equals to 0 inside the conductor. Okay, now considering this third term of our integration, which shows that the lateral surface integration, now this lateral surface is nothing but 2 pi r. Let us consider that the r, small r, is the radius of this cylinder. Then it will be 2 pi r into delta h. Fine. So, and now assume a delta h is very, very small, such that delta h is approximately equals to 0, then integration of lateral surface of d bar dot ds bar can also be considered as approximately equal to 0. What does this mean? So we are imagining this Gaussian surface to be very short, fine. So height is considered as approximately equal to 0, and if height of such cylinder is 0, then the lateral surface integration will also be 0. Fine. So assuming this fact without compromising much with the accuracy of results, we can say that this third term will also turn out to be 0. Okay, so from the 3 term of integration, 2 terms are already been 0. The only thing remains is the closed surface integration of d bar dot ds bar equals to top surface integration of d bar dot ds bar. Now the component that acts along the top surface is nothing but dn. Fine. Again, you can draw the same figure, that this is d bar, this is d10. So d10 is already 0, we have just derived before a couple of minutes. So this normal component will act along the top surface. Fine. So we can write dn multiplied by top surface ds bar, and which is nothing but delta s, as we have taken in a precondition. So we can have dn into delta s. Now according to Gauss's law, this is nothing but the q enclosed, and now the charges enclosed by the top surface, now consider that rho s is a surface charge density of the conductor, then we can write q enclosed equals to rho s into delta s, because here the delta s is the magnitude of surface. Okay, so in place of q enclosed, we can write rho s into delta s. So therefore normal component of density multiplied by delta s is equals to the charges enclosed by this top surface are rho s into delta s. So delta s will cancel out each other, and finally we will have dn equals to rho s. So this is our third finding of the boundary condition, and we have en, which is nothing but dn upon epsilon 0. So we can write rho s upon epsilon 0. Okay, so after calculating the condition for conservative field and a Gauss's law for a particular assumption and a very effective manner, we are having these results. Fine. So these two results can be linguistically illustrated as the normal component of intensity, that is E bar, and density, that is D bar, are non-zero at the surface of conductor, or we can say boundary, and both are dependent on surface charge density of the conductor. So as you can see, rho s in both the equation, so we can say that normal component of intensity and density both are dependent on the surface charge density. So if the surface charge density is higher, the value of En and Dn will be high. If it is lower, then the value of En and Dn will be low. Okay, so moving further, so after these two things, here we have used closed line integration of E bar dot dl bar equals to 0, and here we have used an equation closed surface integration of d bar dot ds bar equals to 0. Okay, after calculation we got E10 equals to D10 equals to 0, that is tangential component of intensity and density equals to 0. After calculating this equation, we got En equals to rho s upon epsilon 0 and Dn is equals to rho s. So these are the 4 findings of our efforts. Fine. Now if we have some other medium, say in place of free space we have a paper. Fine. So ultimately we have a copper conductor and we have wrapped that conductor with the help of some paper. Fine. So paper is also a insulating medium or insulator. Fine. But paper does not have a permittivity of epsilon 0. In place of epsilon 0, we can define its permittivity as epsilon p. Here p stands for paper, is equals to epsilon 0 multiplied by relative permittivity of paper. So epsilon rp is the relative permittivity, epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space. Fine. So if we are willing to look for the boundary condition between conductor and any other insulating medium than a free space, then we simply put the absolute permittivity of the medium in place of epsilon 0. Fine. So for this case also, these are the results that we got for conductor in a free space. Fine. And now in place of free space, if we have any other insulating medium, then also E10 and D10 will be 0. En can be written as rho s upon epsilon, that is absolute permittivity of the medium, which is nothing but rho s upon epsilon 0 epsilon r. Okay, I am removing this thing because it was just for an example. And Dn will be equal to rho s. Fine. So these two are the result of boundary condition between conductor and insulator. Fine. So this is how we can derive the boundary condition between conductor and insulator, and for the derivation we are using two Maxwell's equation. The first one is the condition for conservative field, the second one is the mathematical representation of Gauss's law. Here it will be Q enclosed. Gauss's law. Fine. And with the help of these two equations and appropriate selection of a closed linear path and a closed Gaussian surface, we can have idea about the tangential and normal component of intensity and density very properly with the least possible calculating effort and calculating time. Thank you very much.